My mom outed me to my relatives. Not positive if this belongs here, but I'm not sure where else I can post this, so here we go. This happened a while ago, and I never really talked to her about it until fairly recently because of a ton of stuff that's been going on. I also hate confrontation, and I was so scared that me speaking up would make her upset with me, so I just didn't say much when she told me. I, 14-15 female at the time, was sitting in my bed, doing homework like a good student, when my mom came in and started talking to me. There was a chair next to my bed that had a bunch of books and notebooks and a stack of homework on it. Underneath my stack of homework, I had 2 pride pins. One was AskReddit, and the other was PolySkSchul when I thought that label worked for me. While we were talking, she decided to pick up that stack of homework and saw the backs of the pins. She grabbed those 2 and looked at them, then asked where I got them. I said that I won them from a giveaway, then didn't elaborate. On the inside, I was freaking out. My parents are LDS and I think everybody knows their opinions on the LGBTQ+ community. Yes, they had said multiple times that if me or any of my brothers wanted to bring home a same-sex partner for dinner, it would be okay. However, we all know that hypotheticals can be very different from the things actually happening. She put them on my bookcase and left after a bit. Because she knew, I had to come out to my dad just because I knew she would tell him if I didn't first, and I wanted it to be on my terms. I thought everything was fine and we wouldn't talk about it again. A few days later, I come out of the bathroom and my mom tells me that she told my uncle that I was queer. I was very obviously upset and asked why, and she said it was because my cousin had recently come out as bi. I asked if my cousin wanted us to know, and she couldn't answer that question. She asked if she could tell my other uncles, and I very reluctantly said yes because she would probably tell him anyways. This is where the entitled part comes in. About 2 weeks after my 18th birthday, a ton of stuff happened and I ended up having to have a ton of really big conversations with both of my parents. This is a story for another time and probably another subreddit. For this one particular conversation, my mom wanted to know why I never told her or my dad anything important anymore, so I told her. The conversation went something like this. Me, remember when you found those pins under that stack of homework my freshman year? Her, no. Are you sure that happened? Yeah. It's what forced me to come out to you before I was ready. I didn't want you to know, and then you just came into my room and happened to pick up a random stack of homework instead of the other books on my chair for literally no reason and found those pins. Well, I was probably just trying to clean up. By moving the homework that I was clearly working on? Oh. It was probably the Holy Ghost, then. Why would the Holy Ghost tell you to move my homework? I don't know. Maybe he knew that was something I needed to know at the time. You needed to know something that I wasn't ready to tell you? God works in mysterious ways. Or some other thing like that. Everything from this event is a little fuzzy. Okay. But then you decided to tell my uncle about this without my permission. Do you know how horrible that is? I didn't want you to know. What made you think that telling my uncle about it was okay? Because your cousin is bi and I needed the support. And you couldn't get support from somewhere else? Where else am I supposed to get support for this? I don't know, online forums? There are plenty, and it only takes a quick Google search to find a ton of them. You could go on there anonymously and talk to other parents going through the exact same thing. Maybe, but I needed my brother's support. His opinion matters to me and I don't trust random people online. They could have completely different beliefs and go about this in the completely wrong way. Again, something along those lines. I don't remember exactly what was said. That doesn't make it okay. You didn't ask for permission to tell him, and just because my cousin is bi doesn't make it okay. It was something I didn't want you to know in the first place. The conversation went on for a bit longer and we talked about a few more things, but she still believes that she's in the right about this. I still haven't forgiven her for this. I can only imagine that if I had the courage to have a non-binary pin, all heck would have broken loose. I still haven't told them about that for very obvious reasons. Story 2. Entitled Mother Calls Police on Me, My Neighbor and My Family. First thing I need to say, I'm 21-year-old trans woman, and my neighbor and grandpa are 73 years old. Grandpa has major problems with sleeping, so on Wednesday, 2 weeks ago, when winter come with full power to our country and covered everything in snow, my grandpa went out and decided to shovel the snow that had fallen on the sidewalk in front of the neighbor's house. This neighbor is awesome, almost 90-year-old lady, and it was 6 a.m. when he get here, and started to clean the sidewalk. He only shoveled the snow from 2-meter distance odd sidewalk, when entitled Karen run from her house, and started screaming at him, because in her opinion, he was disturbing the silence. My grandpa is almost deaf, and he didn't like when someone scream at him for no reason, so he ignored her and went back to dealing with snow. Karen realized that he is not listening to her screaming, so she decided to kick my grandpa. OFC, she didn't calculate when is good moment to kick someone, and kick him right when shovel was reaching the point zero in air. That caused my granddad to drop the shovel, and shovel flew back, right into Karen's face. She screamed some bad words at him, and then she get back to the house. My granddad finished his job, come back home, and tell us what happened. We laughed, and after that went straight to my parking spot, to move my car, because our different neighbor, let's call him Steve, wanted to reverse his wrecker to garage, next to place where my car, and old Citroen's Zara Picasso was parked. Right here I need to say, that my car was rear-ended few days earlier, and it won't move very fast, due to locked rear wheels, destroyed bearings when rear-ended, so Steve decided to help me with Citroen. He attached car to the tree, and the rear to his wrecker. Few pulls and egg-shaped car was in way better condition, but while we were doing this, we shaked a lot of snow and ice from tree, and most of it landed on old power lines running on the opposite side of small garage drive street. It was power line that goes to the new house 100 meters away, but house burned down 5 years ago and now there is empty space. We didn't care about it so much, like everybody in this neighborhood. But not Karen. She was walking with her kid down the road when we were force fixing my Citroen. Her kid is adopted 6-year-old, and I know from this old lady who lived next to Karen, that Karen scream every day on her daughter for every reason. Karen saw us and started screaming, that we cut her electricity off and we are not supposed to be here, because it is private property, and we are trespassing and stealing things from garages. She also called me a criminal. BQs of stress, my voice lowered itself to deep low, and tried to attack me, but for self-defense I fired on her from fire extinguisher I two out from car. Steve, pissed as heck after whole day and broken winch on wrecker, told her to FK off, and that make Karen lose control. She take out wrench that was lying on wrecker's upfit and smashed tail lights on my car and Steve's wrecker, then she threw wrench into wrecker's windshield, causing it to break. Then she take her kid and run away. 3 days later I was woken up at 7 a.m. by someone who was ringing to our door. I looked through the window, and see black Kia Ceed idling on neighbors, Pauline, driveway, with blue lights on. I realized that those two men are policemen, so I've opened window, and asked who are they looking for. They were looking for Steve, my grandpa and me. I've called Steve while walking to the door, he came to our house 20 minutes later, and we all tell policemen what happened. I also showed policeman record from camera mounted above parking spot, and they asked to bring it for them on Monday. We went to the police station, and file a complaint on Karen. After 2 weeks, I got notified that Karen got charged for break-in, theft, assault, and damaging property. She connected her home to old power line, because she didn't want to pay for energy, and ice falling from shake tree cut her house out, and I was shocked that her fingerprints was found 6 months earlier when Samanon broke into my car and stole a lot of valuable things. What happened to her kid, but I have a hope that she got a better family.